Shuffle the Deck YouTube. It's Matt here from PCGamesN. I'm joined by Blizzard Boy Ben Barrett.
That's me. That's what it says on my passport now.
Oh really?
Yeah, we got it changed. Yeah, it's great.
Nice.
They kind of look at me a bit funny when I go through security, but
well, you know, it's good to put your passion out
it's
there.
important to brand yourself.
Of course. And obviously, we are talking about a Blizzard game. We're talking about Hearthstone because we found out about a new card that's coming up in the next Hearthstone expansion.
It was just sitting on the street outside. It was really surprising. I was like, oh wow, jeez.
Right, so tell me, what is this mystical card that we have discovered?
The new card is Tol'vir Warden. It's a hunter card, Matt.
Oh, nice.
And it's a 5-mana 3/5. When it comes into play, you draw 2 1-drop creatures, minions, from your deck. So basically, comes into play and you get to draw 2 cards. That's pretty good. Yeah. They're going to be 2 of your worst cards because they're like 1 cost, so they can't be too powerful. Yeah. But it does, it's a little bit predictable. You can control what it's going to be by the way that you build your deck. It's kind of a little later into the game, which we'll come onto in a bit about exactly what that means. But it means that, not all 1-drops are particularly useful at that point in the game. But there are certain ways around that, as well as it can just be kind of a card that you'll have as your like end game plan for like quite a fast deck, where it'll let you reload your hand and go, okay, now that I've played out all my stuff and my opponent's on quite a low life total, I just need to play some more minions to make sure I win this game. You can play this, get another couple of minions in your hand, and also you then do have a creature there that they do need to be able to deal with before they can win the game.
Exceptional. So obviously part of the Hearthstone kind of gameplay is based on mixing cards together and like creating strategies by what you've got on your deck and what you're playing onto the table. So tell me, what can we mix?
What can we mix this with? Yeah. So that's the question, right? Is like, what do you want to draw with this? What are the 1-drops you're going to put into your deck that are specifically there so that when you play Tol'vir Warden, you'll get them into your hand and they'll still be useful. There's 2 ways you can go with this card. Now, it is a 5-drop, which means it isn't going to be super, super useful in like a really, really quick deck. But I think the one area that it's easy to go into will be just aggro. So like, you play a bunch of early minions, you attack your opponent, use your hero power to do 2 damage every turn, and then you play Tol'vir Warden towards the end of the game, the end of the game as in halfway through the total amount of mana you can get, but towards your idea of end game, to get like another couple of good cards. So Alley Cat, I would say, is the easiest one to pick out. So 1-drop, when you put it into play, you get it as a 1/1, then it makes another 1/1 when it comes in. That's going to be good because they're also both beasts. So if you play this and you've got some kind of beast synergy going on in your deck, some sort of like aggro beast deck or maybe mid-range beast deck, then this is giving you a lot of value for just playing 1 card and drawing those 2 others. So the other option is that you could play this in maybe a slower deck where you're more interested in the fact that you are drawing cards and that you're just having more resources than your opponent. Exactly what cards you're going to do that with, it's a little bit more difficult. One that comes to mind is Runic Egg. This lets you play it, it's a 0/2, and then when it dies, you draw a card. Now, in Hearthstone, it's quite difficult to get your 0 attack minions to die unless they have Taunt, so you'd have to play it with other cards that let that happen, or some sort of, sacrifice theme. I would say Runic Egg is quite difficult to use in Hunter. It's not like Warlock where you can destroy it with your own cards quite easily. But if you do find a way to do that, either maybe with new Goro cards or with some older stuff or using neutral cards, you could then use this to get a little bit of value. There are there's a lot of other cards that you can use. Like again, on the aggro side, there's Fiery Bat. That's another good aggro card. And on the control card, there's the idea of Shifter Xeris. So this is one of the cards from Whispers of the Old Gods that didn't see a ton of play. It's an interesting card. It's like a 1-drop 1/1, and every turn it turns into a new card in your hand. It's also a legendary, so you can't have 2 of them in your deck. So whenever you play Tol'vir Warden, there will need to be another card, other 1-drops for you to go and get. But it does, bring in this idea of going to an end game and being able to play to that length of game. And if you get this into your hand as early as possible, for example, by using Tol'vir Warden to do it, then it's going to shift into a bunch of different stuff, and eventually it will randomize into something that's useful. Again, it's a very random card. There are a lot of those in Hearthstone. Exactly whether that's going to play into being able to actually use it effectively, that depends on A, your luck, and B, what kind of format develops. But yeah, we'll see. It's a really interesting card in that way. That there are like a bunch of other 1-drops. Particularly, I think Tentacle of Enzoth is the last one I'll mention, because that can do like this big AoE hit to all of your opponent's minions and all of yours. So again, that might be useful in a longer term deck where you're trying to go a bit later, but you want to have a way to easily destroy all your opponent's minions. So yeah, it might be good. We're not really sure.
Yeah.
It's difficult to give a definitive opinion. I am not a hugely successful Hearthstone player. I enjoy the game. I played a lot of Magic before, so I feel I understand it. But whether it's going to, define the meta or anything, I doubt it. But I could see it seeing a little bit of play.
I guess the other thing is we still need to see what other Goro cards kind of turn up. There might be something that we've yet to see.
That can be used with this. Yeah, I would expect it, and I think it would be very standard of Blizzard to print a very good one-drop that goes quite well with this. It depends exactly how they saw it being used. Some of the Hunter cards we've seen so far, particularly the Massive T-Rex that attacks every minion that your opponent plays, I feel like that's aiming towards a more controlling style Hunter deck that goes a little later, so maybe what we'll see is a one-drop that is useful later in the game. The only thing about it is as well that, so you play it on turn 5, you draw these 2 cards, but you can't use them yet. If you play it on turn 6, you can use one of them, that's fine, but again, you need to have a one-drop that is at least interesting enough to have in your deck. Some people might talk about deck thinning, which is where you're just happy that you're getting cards out of your deck because it means you can draw other ones. And that's true, it is, good to be able to do that, but the amount of effect that has on your deck is fairly limited even at the best of times.
Excellent. So that's everything that we know about Tol'vir Warden at the moment. Obviously, as more sort of information on the expansion, Journey to Goro, reveals itself, we'll probably know more and can bring than that. If you found the video informative, please give us a like. That's in the button down there. Until next time, though, thanks for watching.